So for the first problem, I initiated a four functions. It's called circular area, triangle area, square area, and rectangle area. Circular area takes one parameter which is float called radius, then returns this radius times 3.14 which is the pi. Float triangle which returns sim which is a float, takes two parameter base and height, then times those two, store it on a variable, then returns that variable sim. The float square area, float takes parameter float side called side, then returns the multiplication of the side to those two sides. Then float rectangle area takes two parameter which is length and both float, then returns the multiplication of the two. Then here I initiate a block for looping later. I initiate a char variable of choice called choice. Then printing out this to guide the user. Then taking the user's input choice. Then putting it in this. Then I check if user input correct input. If it's wrong, then it will go again here, then it will ask again the user. If it's correct, then it will go here in this else block. Then if choice is equals to C or big capital C, then this will be the code that will be initiated. Float of radius variable, then printing out this, taking the user's input, then calling the function I made earlier, which is the circle area, which takes this float variable as a parameter here. Then printing out the data. Then if the choice is t, then I initiate a two variable base and height, then printing out the info, then taking the user's input, then printing out the answer, which is this function that I pass to variable, which is the base and height. Then if the choice is S, then I initiate a float of side and the info, then taking the user's input, then printing out the return of this function square area. Then if the choices are float length width, then printing out, taking user's input, printing out this function which takes two parameters, which is length and width, that I initiated here inside this else if block. Then this else, if none of these, for example, none of these four is entered by the user, it will go again here in the calculate, which will ask the users again to input a choice. Here it says invalid input, and that's the first one. Let's try this. Okay, I will see circle radius of 12, the area is 4, 5, 6. Let's do that again. Area of triangle, height of triangle is 10. Then the height 10 again, which is 100. the square S, enter the side of square, then again 100. For the rectangle, length and width of the rectangle, let's put 10 and 5, 4, 5, 25. Good. For the second problem, tuition, I initiated a function called tuition that takes two parameter, which is which is tuition p, which is float, and integer of choice, so that I can initiate a if else statement here. If the choice is equals to 1, then it will initiate this. It will return tuition p discount. If the choice is 2, then this. Then if none of if the choice, let's make this else if choice 3, then it will print this out. In the main, I initiated a 5 variable, which is in choice. For the choice, float plus minus float fee for the tuition fee, in C for the choice, and string student for the name. Then calculate, then I initially calculate here for looping. Then this is the info for the user. Then if, and I'll check if the user's input is correct. If it's not, then it will go again here in this code block. And if else, if it's correct, then it will prompt this. Enter the name of user, then take user's input, then printing out the student's name. Your total tuition fee is. Then I put the tuition function here. Then takes two parameter, which is the fee, which is here, the tuition fee, and choice, which is this. Then this is for asking the user if he wants to continue calculating tuition fees. Here, print out this, then taking user's input, which is the choice, C for choice, then switch case. I use switch case here. Integer nga pala tong C. Then, if user inputs 1, then it will go here to calculate. If he enters 0, then it will stop the program. Then if none of those two, then it will print out invalid input. Then it will go again here in this code block to ask again the user. Let's try this. Okay, let's put 1 for cash. Then tuition fee of the student, which is 1,000. Name of the student, Kobe. Kobe, your total tuition fee is 900. And then it will ask the user if he wants to compute again. I'll say yes. Then it will go again in the main menu. Then I'll choose 2 for 2 installment. Enter tuition fee 1,000. Enter student name Kobe. Tuition fee is 1,050. Then 1 again for number 3. Then let's input 3 for the installment. Tuition fee is 1,000. Then name Kobe. So Kobe, your total tuition fee is 1,100. Then I'll choose 0 to exit the program. Then it will exit the program. For number 3, here I make a three function which called square for computing the area of square, which takes side parameter and it is float, then float rectangle. Also, I put float here because it returns float value. When you initiate a function, you should think what the return value is. The type of the return value is. If it's int, then put here int. If it's string, then put here string. Then here int at even. I should put here boolean. Yan bool. Add even called add even integer int. If like here, I put bool because it returns boolean value. Okay, so if the number is even, then it will return true. If the number is false, then number is at, it will return false. In the main, calculate for the looping, then initiate a variable integer, then printing out this, then taking user's input, then check if the number is integer. If it's false, then it will go again in here code block, in this code block, to ask again the user. Then if it's correct, it will go here. Then okay, so in here, if add even is number, remember it returns boolean value. So if the number is even, it will return true. If it's not, false. In here, this is the true block. If the number is even, that it will go here, printing out these, then this, check that the number is even, uh, then checking the square, the area of square, and I initiated a variable here called side, which is a float type. Then printing out this side, then taking the user's input to put here, then printing out the area of square is square. This function I make here, the square function, which takes the side as parameter. Then if the number is odd, it will go here. Here the condition is add even is equals to false. It returns false if the number is odd, then false equals to the, then printing out this, the number is odd. Then I initiate a variable, which is length and width, which both float. Then printing out this, taking the user's input, printing out this, taking the user's input, then printing out the result. The area of rectangle is rectangle, function of rectangle, then length and width. Here, this is the continue block. It will ask the user if he wants to continue. The printing out this, go and continue. To calculate again, initiate a variable which is called int, which is called c, which is int type. Take the user's input, switch case again. If it's 1, then go to calculate in this block. If it's 0, then it will exit the program. If none of those two is entered, it will prompt this invalid input, and it will go again to ask the user if he wants to calculate again. This go to cont block here. That's it. Number 4, fourth problem, which is this float bonus. I make a function called bonus to calculate the bonus. Takes float into parameters called salary. If salary is less than 10,000, returns salary times 60%. Then else if salary is less than 10,000, it will return salary times 40%. salary is equals to 10,000 returns 50% salary times 50%. If none of those, it will exit the program. Shade a three variable here called salary first and last. For this is for the names. Then taking the user's name, which is the first name and last name. Then in the main, I print out this to get the user's salary. If the salary is correct value or type, it will go here. If it's scene fail, which is error, it will go again into the main block here. It will ask again the user his or her salary. If it's not, then it will go here. Then printing out these for the first and last name, total bonus and total salary, are printing out the bonus which takes, and printing out the function bonus that takes salary as input, then total salary which is the bonus plus the salary. Let's try this. Their first name Kobe, last name Santos. Salary is, for example, 9,000. Okay, the bonus is 3,600 and the total salary is 12,600. Let's try again. Kobe Santos. Salary is equal to 10,000. Bonus is 5,000 and total salary is 15,000. Let's try again. First name Kobe Santos. Then salary is 11,000. 6,600 bonus and total salary is 7,600. Let's try this 3. I forgot to try this. Number, let's take 5, or the number is even, then it will check the square of the area of square, which is, then we will input 10. The area of square is 100. You want to calculate again? Yes or no? Yes. Let's input a odd number, which is 5. The number is added. Now it will check for the area of rectangle. It asks us length, which is 10, then the width of 5. The area of rectangle is 50. You want to calculate again? Let's put 0. If not, it will ask again. Do you want to calculate again? 5. Do you want to calculate again because it is wrong value? Let's put 0. It exit the program. That's it.